So today I'm going to talk about Don Marquis's essay, Why Abortion is Immoral. So Don Marquis basically falls on more of the conservative side of abortion, right? We talked about Judith Jarvis Thompson's essay, who's more of a moderate. Don Marquis is more of conservative because he believes that abortion is immoral, right? Just thinking about the title of the essay. But he, just like some of the other philosophers, want to get outside of the whole situation of personhood. And so he basically says that abortion is immoral because it has to do with the ethics of killing and murder. So he wants to go outside of what the typical debate is, and he says that the anti-abortionists and the pro-choicers both have flaws in their arguments. Why? Well, the anti-abortionists are saying that abortion is wrong because you are killing human life. You are interfering with human life. But the term human life is a very fluid term. What do we mean when we use that term? So human life can have a biological category, it can be a biological category, or it can be a moral category. So what are we talking about when we say human life? And so human life biologically can be a cancer cell, right? Human life biologically can be a lot of things that we typically kill, and it's okay. Morally, we typically think it's morally okay. So human life is basically vague in that statement. But the pro-choicers also have a flaw because they say that, abortion is morally permissible and that, not until birth, right, is the baby considered a person. But then what is personhood, right? What are the psychological characteristics that allow someone to be considered a person? And so when we think about the psychological characteristics such as consciousness, self-awareness, communication, reason, not every adult human has these abilities either. And obviously babies that are out of the womb and children, they don't all have these abilities. But we typically think that it's not okay to kill adult humans or babies or children because they don't have these abilities of personhood or these capacities of personhood. So what do we do then, right? Because both arguments are flawed. One is using human life too vaguely, one is using personhood too strictly. And so we have to go outside of that paradigm of personhood, of that kind of rigid Kantian idea of personhood. And so this is where we get then into the ethics of killing. So regardless of who has rights to whom, we typically think that universally in our society, we disagree about a lot of things, but we typically think that killing an innocent person is a bad thing. We typically think that's immoral, but why? So what makes killing an adult human immoral? Well, in order to do anything in life, in order to experience a future, right, you have to be able to be alive. So being killed is a violation of our most basic ability, right? Being alive. We have to be alive in order to experience achievements and love and goals in our lives. So what makes killing an adult wrong is that you are preventing them from experiencing any future. And he says that the same quality of what makes killing an adult human wrong also applies to children and babies, right? You're preventing them, all of these humans of different ages, from experiencing any type of future that they could experience by killing them, right? That is the greatest wrong and harm you can do to someone, right? Killing them. And so the loss of life then is the greatest loss to a person, and because you're depriving them of the future. And so this is where we get into, well, why is it so bad to deprive someone of their future? This is where we get into the discontinuation account and the desire account. So the discontinuation account is basically saying it's wrong to kill someone because you are discontinuing their life and you're discontinuing them from future experiences and accomplishments and goals, and just anything we can experience in life. You are discontinuing that. The second one is a desire account, which is saying that you are inhibiting or you are preventing someone from achieving the desire in their life. We desire to live. We desire to be alive. So by killing someone, you are harming and you are preventing that desire from being actualized, from existing. But an argument could be, well, not everyone desires their life, right? Think about someone who might be suicidal. They may not desire their life. Or think about the fact that an embryo or a fetus doesn't have the capacity to desire their life, right? So the argument that you are preventing someone from desiring their life and that makes killing wrong is insufficient because not everyone has that capacity. And that leads to the question of, does value require a valuer? And so Marquis basically says, no, value does not require a valuer. Someone can be mistaken about their value. So maybe you could think about someone who maybe tried to commit suicide, and then they continue to live, and they had this amazing life, and they're so happy that the suicide attempt did not work, right? And so that's an example of how we can be mistaken about our value, and how value does not require a valuer. What really makes killing wrong is basically that you are preventing them from achieving any type of future against their will, right? Against their abilities. And so even if someone currently doesn't have the will to live, if they don't have a desire to live, you are inhibiting that future desire to live. And so basically then what makes killing wrong is something that fetuses have, in terms of they possess the same property of this future potential that also makes killing adult humans wrong. So when we think about the moral wrongness or the impermissibility of abortion, it's not necessarily about who's more of a person than the other. It's more about what makes killing wrong. And so the same quality that makes killing an adult human wrong, or a baby or a child wrong, is also the same reason that makes killing an adult human wrong. So we really have to think about what makes killing wrong and how that applies to the situation of abortion for Don Marquis's argument.